following thoughts, opinions, stories, and expressions are meant for those who will appreciate them. If you don't, we hope you keep an open soul to encounter another here on 34 Questions. Peace. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. I'm your host, 34, and tonight I have a very special guest. Nick Horn is in the building. How you doing tonight?
Hello. I'm great, man. I'm doing really, really well. If Jan didn't tell you, this is our second take because he forgot to turn out his microphone.
Yeah. Rookie mistakes, man. But,
my first answer was really passionate, but it just took a lot of energy out of me.
You missed it, but it was only like in the very beginning, so we're picking up where we left off. But I want to thank you again, Nick, for stopping by. For the folks out there who are unfamiliar with the flow of the show, we do some intro questions, some warm-up questions just to set the tone. After that, we'll jump into some icebreakers, a couple games just to loosen the nerves, and then we'll turn to the Wheel of Fate, where we'll spin the wheel. Whichever number it lands on, that's where the conversation will flow. And after all that, we'll finish out with some closeout questions. Sound good to you, Nick?
Nope, let's do it. Sounds great.
All right, man. My very first question for you is, how have you been? You've been doing well. You've been doing great. How you been lately, man? Yeah, man.
I think actually right now, this current time of my life, I've probably been doing better than I have in maybe like the last 10 years or so. It's a good time, man. I have a 2-year-old daughter now, so life's been very different. First year of her life was pretty stressful with COVID and everything. My partner had given birth like right in the midst of everything, and we're in NYC as well, so July 2020, and from then on out we were just kind of scared of getting sick, getting the baby sick. I mean, there was days where we lived in a little Brooklyn apartment. I maybe got like 30 steps in a day because we weren't leaving our little shoebox because we didn't want to get each other sick. So I'm kind of getting myself back into the gym and like getting back into my hobbies and doing things for me and my soul. So it's been really nice past couple weeks especially.
That's what's up, man. I'm glad to hear. Glad to hear you're doing well. And it must be a crazy feeling to feel like, now you mentioned 10 years, and I relate to that because I feel like I spent 10 years not doing the best I could be doing. And so, I hear you on that for sure. My second question for you is, what would you like the audience to know about you?
Man, so I've listened to a couple of your episodes. I knew this question was coming up, and I didn't prepare myself. Man, that's tough. I mean, besides just like becoming a dad, all that dry stuff, I think one big thing. A lot of people when they meet me, I'm very comfortable in my own skin now, and pretty loud. You either get me or you don't get me right off the bat. It's either I like this guy or like, man, this guy's a lot. But I think something that people really don't know is like I've just battling, mental illnesses my entire life. And one thing I actually been thinking about a lot, and I've started doing therapy again, was self-doubt and just being, always really, really self-conscious. It was almost paralyzing at a young age. So it really prevented me from like trying things out because I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to look stupid, just really insecure. And I'm not really sure when that all changed. It still comes back and creeps up, imposter syndrome with work, getting a new job title, not really believing you can do it. Even like becoming a dad, almost just like that entry into fatherhood. It's like, I'm not ready. I'm not financially where I want to be. I'm not mentally where I want to be. I was going pretty wild in New York City for a while. So I was like, whoa, we're gonna get a baby to enter this world. But that's a big thing I deal with. And I think the one aspect of life I try to remember is everyone's kind of going through their own battles. And I think it's ideas like 34 questions are great to just kind of get everything on the table and let people know what's going on. So that was the biggest reason why I wanted to join today. But yeah.
Right on, man. Thank you.
There's an answer in there somewhere.
Nah, I hear you, man. We hear you. But that's crazy, man. I know, just thinking of like maybe the different stages of life, it sounds like that you've been through to make you feel, it seems like to me, and I just met you in like 5 minutes, but you're a well-rounded person, I would assume. Maybe you have a lot of things that you can talk about, And man, as far as like mental illness and stuff like that's just bananas. I don't know how much people would share on the show, so I definitely appreciate you just opening up about that, and I will touch on it if you don't mind in a couple questions.
Oh man, I'm an open book. Let's do it.
For sure. My third question for you in the warm-up is, if I were to do something in your honor, a way to express the energy you possess, what could I do?
Ooh. I think it would have to just be like something involving music and a party, a get together with all my favorite people in the world kind of being brought together. I grew up in the West Coast, so it's San Jose, California, Bay Area. So I got just a ton of friends and family out there, but I definitely built a family in New York City. So I think we'd have to do some sort of like big DJ set on the West Coast and the East Coast, or we could just like meet in the middle and do it somewhere weird like Lincoln, Nebraska or something. We'll just get everyone together and just play a song. I'm really annoying. If we get really close, I'm literally shoving songs down your throat all the time. I forced probably every single one of my friends to listen to Anderson .Paak like nonstop before the boy got all big. And it would have to be just music that, I don't know, that's like in some of my libraries that you could pull from, and then like whatever songs that my friends remember me by, just put it all together and just party throughout the night. That would be so cool.
For sure. Now we know.
Make it happen.
Besides Anderson .Paak, has there ever been any other artists that you kind of called out early and you were like, oh, this person's gonna be huge, and you try to share that music to everybody?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm crazy possessive over that dude. There's like things that he does now. I'm just like, why are you doing that, bro? Why are you wearing wigs everywhere? Like, I didn't know you like this. He has no idea who I am.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I didn't know you like this in 2016 when me and my boys saw you at like Hardfest in SoCal. No one was at your stage. What are you doing? But he deserves all the fame. Besides him, man, I've never really been too good at like predicting who's gonna blow. Mm-hmm. Growing up as a kid, a lot of oldies. I had a stage where I just loved Nirvana, Sublime. But yeah, man, I've never been as quick to the punch as I did with this one. So I'm proud. I'm holding on to him.
No, I got you.
How about you, man? Did you put anybody on?
I mean, you could ask. I'm the same way as you are, as far as the person that likes to introduce new music and like show, oh, like, have you heard this person yet? This person I think is gonna pop off. I think the most recent examples I would say is I remember I was rocking with Chance the Rapper, like his first couple mixtapes before Coloring Book and stuff, before he won the Grammys, and that was crazy for me to see. Like, damn, he won 3 Grammys. Like, that was a good call.
Great call. He's pretty big.
I liked Mac Miller, before he became, I think, and for me, I would categorize my favorite genre to be like struggle rap. So it's always like that first couple mixtapes where I think an artist is trying to define their music, and also if they're real enough, they're writing about their struggle coming up. And so those first couple mixtapes, whether it's Mac Miller or Chance or anybody else, that's what really resonates with me more. Like, that's when I'll be like, oh, okay, this is what I'm vibing with. And then, they reach a certain amount of success, they start writing about what that lifestyle's like. Which, that's them growing. And for me, I'm just like, I'm still stuck in my personal life in that come up phase. So that's how I discover new artists. It's just like listening into the artists that are coming up. But yeah, so that's how I define my music taste.
Oh, I like that answer a lot. That's cool. And I was just thinking about your answer as well. I think a cool part about that is they're experimenting with so many different sounds as well to see what sticks. And most of their lyrics are very truthful to their situation. So for me, like Anderson .Paak, the album Malibu dropped in 2016, which was like a pretty tough year for me. A lot of the songs he's talking about how he had to sleep on the floor. I mean, this dude's not, a young guy at the time when he's still grinding. He's like 30 years old at this point, and he's got a little baby, and they're just sleeping on their friend's ground so that he can pursue his music dream. And, during that year, I was trying to find myself too, man. I had to take like a month off of work. Shout out Indeed.com. They gave me a bunch of time. That's where I met Quan, but they gave me a bunch of time to take some time to myself. I was going through it and, go into like a outpatient program where you basically kind of check in, do a curriculum, kind of work on yourself, do some physical activities, and then you check out at a certain time, almost like school, but you're doing it all just to better yourself. So as I was doing that, I was commuting from San Mateo to San Jose, and I was just playing that album nonstop. And I was just like, okay, there's gonna be a better side to this story. It's right on the other end, and doing a lot better now. So.
Yeah, and isn't it crazy how like some albums or some songs just bring us to a point in our life? Like I'm sure if you listen to Malibu now, you're just like, damn, I remember exactly where I was and how I was feeling. And I mean, for me, I have to let go of some songs sometimes because I don't want to be reminded about the time era I was in.
Some of them hurt. Yeah, some of them hurt once you are. You know what's funny, bro, is like I was driving and going to pick up my daughter from school, and sometimes I'll just put my Spotify playlist on shuffle, just like open. I would never do it with guests over, like they're listening, but I'm just like, let's see what pops up. I'm not kidding you, bro. This like the past week I've been bumping Sheryl Crow and listening to her because there's some songs on the radio that I hear that my mom would be blasting. It was just me and my sister in the back seat, and we'd just be kind of cruising our car, all yell singing whatever came on the radio, right? We didn't have like the iPods to plug in. You could make a tape, but those barely work, so you just kind of are at mercy to the radio. And then Sheryl Crow's song came on. It was like, every day is a winding road. Every day. I was like, oh, it was just hitting. And I like had my window down, I like had my arm out the window listening to Sheryl Crow, and it felt good, man. I felt like a 9-year-old kid. So totally know what you're talking about. It's power music, man.
Yeah, I mean, connection with our parents, like, damn, like our parents are the first music curators of our lives, like, don't touch the radio. Like,
oh yeah. So. Yeah. The music that plays when they're cleaning in the house too, just lots of 70s, 80s flavors, man. So yeah, I mean, it's just the fact that it can just take you back and like literally bring you into that specific time of your life is powerful. So
a time machine, man. It's a time machine.
Time machine. Yeah.
All right, man. And moving on to my last question for you in the warm-up. On a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
Oh, yeah, this is one I was thinking about nonstop, man. From like the time Quan answered it and watching a couple other your videos. It's hard because I feel like I know myself better now than ever before, but at the same time, I keep surprising myself in good ways, actually. I'd probably say like 6.5 out of 10, because as soon as I became a dad, I didn't realize how much I was capable of and how strong I actually am and how talented I am at this. And there's certain chapters I keep rolling out, and I'm in my early 30s, I'm 31 right now, and I just feel like the next 30 years are gonna be the best, and I'm gonna learn even more about myself. So I'll say 6.5 because it'd be pretty boring to be at a 10. What are you gonna do for the next 3 decades, 4 decades? No,
I got you.
Well, what would you answer for yourself on that?
I mean, personally, this is my cop-out answer, I guess, because if I was really to think about it, I'd maybe have a different answer. But I like to put myself at a 5, especially right now, just because in my mind, at the best moments of my life or the best times, I probably feel like I'm a 10. Like, oh, I got everything figured out. I know exactly what direction I'm going in. And then at my worst times in my life, I'm probably like, who the hell am I? Or like, is this the right thing for me? Or, all these things. So being at a 5 gives me that flexibility. So, I mean, even if you were to ask me, made me think about it more, I'd probably still be at a 5. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's it. But for you, what would you say is like the last thing that you learned about yourself? I was like, oh shit, that's I can do that, or that's me.
Yeah. Man. Very last thing.
It could just be being a dad.
Big
man.
one. No, actually. Well, the dad thing definitely. But I was trying to think more recently is, I've gotten a lot better at standing up for myself. I thought there was a situation that was kind of unfair at work, and I think most of my life I've been kind of a pushover, even a little bit, just wanting to. I really, really cared. I think this goes back into being insecure. I really wanted people to like me, like all the time. And that even trickled into work. So if my manager was saying something I didn't agree, it was just like, yeah, right. Take it right on, without battling. But if I feel like I'm there's some certain injustices or I'm not getting treated, and this could even be with like customer service, which I hate bothering reps, like, or like being tough to deal with, because I know what that life is like, and I have so much compassion for those dudes. But sometimes you got to stick up for yourself. And I did that at work recently, or not too long ago. Just kind of like talking to them, just challenging them and coming up with ideas, and we came up with a solution together. And it was just like, damn, like I'm capable of doing that. I can be that dude sometimes. So,
were you able to do it in like a, I guess, in a more comforting way, because you have those hard conversations, and I'm still trying to figure it out for myself. I think my boss kind of challenges me or tries to put me in positions where I have to be that person, because she can obviously see that I never want to be that person, but she's like, yo, you got to grow some way. But yeah, so like for you, were you able to find that, or you just jumped in deep end and kind of like just put your foot down as you've seen other people do?
Well, I was upset. Like I carried it with me for the weekend, and I was like, man, and I was losing sleep over it. I was thinking about it. I was like, and I was just kind of thinking about life. Like, man, it's never felt good. And there's always been that moment where like, you still think about it. It could be 10, 15 years ago. Where like, I should have stuck up for myself. Why was that kid punking me on the bus? I could have just said this, like thinking about that. So it bothered me. And I can be like a very emotional guy. So emotional reactions, if I'm just kind of reacting instead of taking a deep breath, which is also something I did in therapy. Everybody go to therapy. It's good. Take a deep breath, digest everything. I even wrote it out because, as you can already tell with this interview, I'm kind of scatterbrained. I jump from thing to thing depending on which subject gets brought up. So I had to plan it out, be concise, and I had the weekend to kind of digest it, and I delivered it very professionally, and I got respect for it. And, we worked something out that made sense. So
for sure.
Yeah, it just takes practice, man. It takes practice, and also getting to know yourself, and just like, that's all I gotta say about that, man.
No doubt.
That was the most recent one, though. Yep.
For sure. All right, man. We're gonna head over to the icebreakers now. But before we do that, I want to remind the folks, if you are enjoying what you're hearing, watching, please like if you might, share if you care, subscribe for a vibe you didn't know was there.
I love that.
Right on, man. Here we go to the icebreakers. All right. So my first one for you is gonna be a point of view kind of thing. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to phrase this segment, but I'm gonna give you a statement, and you just kind of let me know what your thoughts are on it. If you think it's true or false, or if you have any ideas behind the statement.
Okay.
This first one is: overthinking is a bad thing.
Man, and I don't want to do the cop-out neutral.
If it's neutral, just gotta explain why.
Yeah. There's always your gut, which is great to listen to. Something feels right, it feels right. And I think those situations, at least for me, are pretty rare. So when something comes up, I do try to weigh out all the possibilities. I'm not really into astrology, but my mom was, and she said, you're a Libra, you're always going to be weighing options out. And I was like, all right. And that kind of always stuck with me because it's true. And I think about everything. I think at least overthinking for me can be a good thing, because I can come up with a very, thought out plan, and it's just about weighing it. I like my list. I like writing down on paper too. So at least for me, overthinking has worked out. So I'll say it could be a good thing.
For sure. I would say I do lean towards that more, because I feel like I'm an overthinker, and even though I know it's hurt me, I feel like it, I don't know, it makes me connect with people in a different way. Just operating different, maybe in the workplace or with my family. Not saying that it's but makes me better or worse. It's just different, But yeah.
It's burned me recently. Like, are you into fantasy sports? When I have to sit and play players, man, I'm like reading everything about them. Like, okay, well, this guy doesn't really pitch very well in the rain, so looks like I'll be looking up forecasts in Boston to see, this guy on the Red Sox, how he pitches. Looking at splits, and then I end up sitting guys who are like hit jacks and hit homers just because they were the better player the whole time. It's like, damn it, Nick. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Oh, that's the worst, man. That's the worst. I think that's a big reason why I don't like I'll gamble, but I don't like gambling, because as soon as it's a loss, I'm thinking to myself like, what could I have done different? You know, like I start thinking about all the different possibilities. But yeah,
I know.
it's hilarious.
Start thinking it's your fault. You know, it just has nothing to do with it. Like, why did I wear these damn shoes? Yeah.
I feel it. And then my second statement for you is people can change.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm an example. So it's kind of crazy. Like, I like to still have fun and go out when I can, but my priorities are completely different. And just having a little girl to take care of and ground me. I mean, I want to do well. I want to look out for, you know, my physical health, my mental health. I'm actually going to the doctor when shit hurts these days. Like, I'm actually taking care of myself. And this is coming from a kid. I walked around campus his sophomore year with like 2 broken feet.
What?
And I wore like 4 socks on one foot, 3 socks on the other, and I just hobbled around for weeks. And I think it goes back to just like, you know, if I can live with it, then I'll deal with it. And this same thing went for my car, same thing went for everything. Like, you know, don't fix it if it's not completely broken, but my shits were broken. Now, if I get like a tummy ache or I feel my nose get swollen, I'm like, I gotta go get a COVID test, gotta get checked out. And that's literally just because my priorities have changed, and there's a lot more to live up for. So long answer short, yes, people can absolutely change.
For sure, man, for sure. Yeah. I've been, like, for me personally, I've been thinking about this a little more, and the reason why I ask you and I ask my guests is that could it be? Nah, I'm not right. I'm not right when I say this, but could it be that, you know, the growth that we see or the change that we see is just us becoming more of who we are, like those layers that we kind of, you know, have as a kid, and every year we just peel back more layers, and like, oh, this is, you know, Nick as his dad, you know, peeling off the layers, you know.
Interesting.
But yeah. I think it's the same thing, just looking at it a different way, to be honest.
No, I think it's kind of like that biology versus, you know, society type deal, or, you know, what your genes, what you're born with, and also like life experiences that can make changes. Your personal loss is one. Like, you know, one of my best friends took his life in 2015, like the day after I hung out with him. Best friend, lived right down the street. You know, he had a couple kids, and I just like loved that whole vibe. Definitely family, and that took a lot out of me, and also just kind of changed me in a way to where, instead of running away from people, running away from my problems and hiding it, and you know, kind of being the class clown. I love making people laugh. It's a high, and if I can do that, then that'll distract me and others from what I'm actually dealing with. That experience alone, you know, with a couple other deaths too, there's been quite a lot of like suicide around me, and a lot of the kids that grew up with me, like, and it's a trip. But it changes you, it changes your perspective. And I'd say even like a lot of my friends who had the same mutual friends that died, we keep our loved ones close. I open up to them. I kind of force them to open up to me. It's not easy for men. I'm trying to change that as much as possible, but I don't run away from anyone, no matter how bad I'm doing. I let people know. And I don't think that would have happened if something so crazy wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? So
no, for sure.
But there are those factors that you're born with that you can't get away from. You know,
nah, man.
I was goofy, and now I'm dad goofy. The dad jokes start rolling.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But bro, man, I just want to say thank you for sharing that. You know, suicide, I don't think, like personally, no one in my circles or families that I've known for sure committed suicide. So thank you for sharing that. It is a soft spot for me, just because, you know, I don't know how much teenagers spend time thinking about suicide, and I feel like there's probably, you know, teenage angst kind of plays into it, but I spent a lot of time thinking about it in my teenage years, and you know, I never got to a point where I fully committed to do it. I didn't hurt myself in that way because I was scared. I was like, I'm not gonna cut myself. I'm scared of blood.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just more so though, like, I remember embracing pain and just like, okay, if this is gonna hurt, that's fine or whatever, or like pushing through it, right? Like whatever, you know, if I can get from point A to point B, nothing else really matters, type of thing. So yeah, man, suicide is like,
yeah, it's a trip. I mean, I agree with you. I thought about it a lot growing up. Like, it was not easy growing up. Things were not always good at home. You know, money wasn't always there. So every day just started feeling like a challenge. And when you're a kid, you got all those hormones going nuts, and you're just like, it's never going to get any better. You can never think that, you know, your 20s and 30s have something so much better in store for you, especially in that moment when you're just emotional and something terrible has happened. You know, like your girlfriend of 2 weeks broke up with you, and your whole world's shattered. But it's a real thing, and you know, I've never like seriously attempted it, but I've like thought things out, and I never ever expected to do it or try it, and when someone actually like goes through with it, you know, knowing everything that they're going to leave behind. And, you know, my friend had a couple kids, and it was just like, wow. And it's crazy, but I got to figure something out where I can spread awareness on it. I think it's something that I'm definitely passionate about looking out. And I love that athletes are talking more and more about mental health too, because that's only going to be great for our kids and our next, you know, generations coming up. So, for sure. Especially for males, yeah.
I mean, just I think that since the conversation is being opened up, I hope like more people in different industries, different positions, kind of, you know, are able to speak about it, because it is something that like I feel like everybody can relate. You know, we just don't seem to talk about it openly. So you were talking about how to change that. I think just even having the conversations is a big step forward, right?
Yeah.
All right, boss. Let's see if we can go a little lighter. But
cool down a little bit.
This next icebreaker is word for word. You're gonna have 34 seconds to do as many words as you can. I'm gonna give you a word. You give me the first thought or word that comes to mind for you. All right.
This is gonna be great. All right, let's do it.
All right. It's gonna. I'll let you know when I press start, and here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Love.
Passion.
Family.
Everything.
Art.
Opening up.
Culture.
Music.
Failure.
Every day.
Fear.
Endless.
Crazy.
Beyonce, Crazy in Love.
Regret. Got you. You got 8 that time.
All right.
The record was 12, but you know, you gave it an honest shot. You gave it an honest shot, man.
Was it 12 good answers, or people just like saying like taco for like depression? just saying words. Yeah. Or like, do these count? Do you get like errors? Yeah.
I mean, you know, if I haven't done that, but maybe I should. But the person who did it was basically like rapid fire. Like they really took the first word that came into mind, but it wasn't too crazy where it's like taco and depression, you know. But who knows? You know? Like maybe taco reminds that person of something, you know.
Not my type of person. Yeah. If taco's reminding you of depression, you get out. You get the hell out.
I want to press on one answer that you gave me, which was failure every day.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What did you mean by that?
And I mean, failure doesn't have to be this like huge thing. It could just be like leaving a dish out for too long, or like forgetting something for my daughter's school. You know, right now, so I've been in tech sales for forever. It could be as little as like saying the right thing, or not asking for the clothes, or you know, maybe sending like the wrong, it just happens. I think failures are great and much easier to deal with when there is like a big one where you maybe drop the ball in like a very important interview. If you focus on like the micro failures every single day, it makes the bigger ones easy to deal with too. It's just like, man, you know, you can only get better. If you're paying attention to them, you can only get better. You can only identify them and improve. So, you know, that took me a long time to embrace those too, because I kind of went back to, just having self-esteem issues. And I remember like little league games when I was little. I loved baseball. I wanted to play it more than anything. I wanted to be a pro athlete. I was just scared of being the guy to like drop the ball or strike out with the bases loaded. And so there'd be like big games where I'd like fake a sickness just to get out of it. And my mom was a pushover. So I was just so scared of the failures. And by the time like in my mid-20s, sales definitely helped with it. It's just like, damn, this shit's just gonna happen in life, and you just gotta embrace it. You gotta wear it on your sleeve and just keep going. So,
bro, I think you're the first person who said something that I have gone through, which is basically hurting myself on game days so I wouldn't have to play the game, dude. Like I would, during recess, I remember I'd run into the pole, like pretending to get a rebound, and then I'd be like, oh, something's wrong or whatever. And it took me a long, like I did, my parents were more, I guess, like they believed me, and they were like, okay, if you're hurt, you shouldn't play. So they didn't really push me to go forward with it. But yeah, man, like I don't know how many folks out there ever did that growing up, but shoot, I did the same thing, man, and it fucks you up. Like and doing it back as a kid, you're not like, I didn't think I had anxiety issues. I didn't think I had like, anything wrong with me at the time, but looking back at it, it's like, holy shit, like maybe I should have been talking to somebody, or at least opening up.
Have you ever gone to therapy? Have you ever thought about it?
Yeah, my first exposure to it was probably in middle school and high school and stuff. I remember going to therapy because I wrote something in my lyrics book that I went to a Catholic school, so then the nuns saw it.
Oh wow.
And it was about like suicide and not feeling well, like low depression and stuff. So they were like, oh, you need to go to counseling. So they sent me to the school therapist that I saw, for 3 years, from 6th grade to 8th grade. And then I had, like, my experience there was great, but I never did open up about that, though. I never told them that, like, oh, yeah, I'm depressed and stuff, but I didn't tell them I was hurting myself just so, I wouldn't play a game,
Yeah.
And then in high school, oh, go ahead.
What was that? Because like you were just terrified of making mistakes on the field?
Oh yeah, like, for sure. It was like
being that guy. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still a people pleaser, and like you talked about putting your foot down earlier, and yeah, that's still something I got to work on or figure out how I'm gonna incorporate being okay with that, being like saying no and just being like, well, actually, I think this might be better, because deep down inside, I don't think any of my ideas are better than anyone else's. I don't think I'm a better person than anybody else is. So having that in the back of my mind kind of like, informs my decisions and how I like try to stand up for myself at times. In my mind, it's like, oh, I pick and choose my battles, which can be a good thing, but also I'm sure there's a lot of times where I should have picked that battle and I didn't, so that's how it's kind of played into my mind for sure. And growing up, I don't know if this is true for you, but so had therapy in high school. In college, I tried to do it, but the resources were like, oh, you only get 3 free sessions and then you got to pay for it. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. And then
that's outrageous. Yeah.
And then as an adult, I tried BetterHelp. And then I'm not knocking BetterHelp. I'm just saying that if you're going to do therapy, find the right one for you, or like whichever one you have some chemistry with, or, they just understand more of what you're going through. Because you can have bad experiences in therapy where it feels like depression. Dude. Right? It's
like dating, bro. It's dating. I've dated, 4 therapists, like, and at first I just going back to like, if it's not completely broken, don't fix it. At first I just went to the first one that was like my ex's family friend, or I forgot the connection. And we just had nothing in common. And like, she didn't really have compassion, which is crazy to say about a therapist. She couldn't understand like how I grew up and the family dynamic and what I was going through. And it was just apparent. And honestly, it took me 4 times and I had no problem and no shame. I like being a people pleaser, like giving people extra chances. But at this point I was like, this is my mental health, this is my well-being. And I finally found one that, I still talk to and can really help me. So it's really easy to have that first bad experience where it's like, man, this person doesn't get me. And it's important to keep trying. So yeah, man, it's super helpful. Just being able to kind kind of have a referee that's, you know, kind of in the middle and can help you step outside of your body and really assess yourself and what you've gone through. And also just acknowledge some of the shit that you went through, man. Like as men, I mean, my dad who raised me was shelled off, Vietnam veteran, didn't talk about anything. He was a family psychiatrist as a career. And he did that because he wanted to focus on other people's issues instead of his own. Dang. And he had a breakthrough in like his late 60s and finally opened up. So growing up, it was kind of like my mom was this emotional person wanting me to open up, but like at the same time, it was like society, you know, as a man, I can't do that. That's soft. And instead of telling people and sharing that, like, hey, I'm so scared about this game coming up, like I don't want to fail, I just took it the easy way out. And I was like, I'm sick. I've got a tummy bug, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't even remember what we first started talking about. I just went on a tangent.
No, you good. You good, man. This is the space for that.
Yeah, man.
But nah, I mean, yeah, for any other folks out there who probably try to do something to get out of playing sports games growing up, you know, let us know so we don't feel alone. Yeah.
At the Facebook group. Yeah.
You're not alone. But I mean, I've worked with high schoolers now, and it just makes me think.
That's so dope. Yeah.
It makes me think how many of them are probably going through the same thing, and I have to find some kind of way to, like, you know, insert just that story so they don't feel like, you know, I don't know. I'm almost afraid they're gonna think I'm soft. You know, they'll be like, oh, why would I listen to you now? Like, you're one of the softest people. Yeah.
They might say that to their peers. You know, they might trash you behind your back, but I really do think, you know, these kids probably look up to you. You're a cool adult. You're invested. I can tell you're passionate about what you do. And that's awesome, man. And I'm sure just you saying that will resonate with them because they'll at least be able to identify what they're feeling and know that it's happening. And who knows, like if you get one side conversation out of one of these kids, that's a huge win. That's a huge win.
It's all I hope for, man. It's just one.
I did after school for a while too, bro, before tech sales, man. It was my favorite job. I felt like that was probably what I was meant to do.
I wish it paid better because I think a lot of folks should be in the like roles in after school. But yeah.
Yeah, man, I got my degree in criminal justice and I sold my soul to the devil immediately. I was like, all right, let's see what this commission thinks about.
Nah, I hear it, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was sick of being broke, bro. Yeah. Running out of gas on the way to SF State, working that YMCA job, just like, what can I eat today? It looks like I'm getting a McChicken because that's all I could afford. So I feel you, man. That's dope, though. High school in San Francisco?
Burton High School. I don't know if you're familiar with Burton.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's in like the Bayview area.
Bayview.
Yeah. But no, yeah. I work for the Y, so you know exactly what I mean. But it's a good place to be, though.
The Bayview Y. That's awesome. How long you been there for?
So the funny thing about that is I was there 4 years ago, and then I went to chase money after like a year or so, and I left. And you know, I don't know if you've heard me mention on other episodes, but I've had like 17 jobs in like 10 years, right? So it was one of those things, because then after I left, the role that I stepped into wasn't what was promised, or, you know, we could say that they didn't expect me to be the way I was. I didn't expect the job to be the way it was.
Been there.
Bounced around a couple more jobs, and then I found myself back into the same school, pretty much same position, same company. After 4 years, and like for me it was a big deal because I think I did have a lot of regret. I mean, I have regrets outside of that, but this one was like, you know, if I could do it again, I would do things different, and I got my chance. You know, I got a chance for redemption in my mind. And I'm since people know me as a person that jumps a lot of jobs, I tell myself, you know, next 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 years, this is where I gotta be. Because I gotta see out this vision that I have for, like, you know, what this is gonna look like for the kids. And that something I didn't know back then was that how much time it was gonna take. You know, like in my mind, it's like I can do this in a year and then I could bounce. When really I should have been there for 4 years and really, you know, seen the change in the culture. So that's where I'm at now. So, but yeah,
that's dope, man. You know, I like how authentic you are to yourself, and I think you said earlier that, you know, you're a people pleaser, but it's not easy quitting jobs. Yeah, if you're a real people pleaser, you'd stay in your dead end job as long as possible. Yeah, man, you probably hurt some of your managers at times. You're like, damn, you know. But you're actually sticking up for yourself by doing that. And if something doesn't feel right, you don't do it. And so you have a job that you really love and care about that makes a difference, and then you have this podcast that is going to make a difference, you know? So that's dope. That's dope. You don't have to put on a costume any time of the day, man. You're just yourself.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Because I never thought about it that way. I never thought about leaving jobs. I always saw it as like a weakness, and I would try to convince myself like, oh, you know, I have no fear in keeping to move on, you know, or keeping the ball rolling. But I never know. Like the overthinking part is like, am I being honest or am I trying to justify my actions? But yeah, so I appreciate the validation, bro. Like,
so these jobs, like these companies that hire you, it's like sports teams. So if you're disposable to them, then you need to make sure you leave and you find that culture fit.
So when I left that first time, I remember thinking that, like, you know, the YMCA is just this and that, but the influence that I can have within the community is different than any other job than if I was working with students, you know. And that's what I try to tell folks, but I understand, like, I'm always trying to bring people into the programs, right? And you know, why don't you talk to the kids, why don't you spend some time? Not everybody's, you know, likes kids in the first place, but also I can't really offer them much for their time and energy, you know. So it's like, it sucks, but in my mind, me and the team that I'm with right now, we're working with what we got and super excited for this next school year, which is a month away. So
yeah. Can't believe that. Yeah. Month away.
Yeah. Over. You said your daughter's 2 years old, right? So no preschool or nothing yet, right?
Oh no, we got her in school. Yeah, she's at
snap.
We got her in a Montessori school. Yeah, man, and it's been hurts the bank account, but it's worth it, man. She knows how to do everything. We got like a little step stool for her as well. She uses it to like go wash her hands by herself. All these things that you would think like a little human being isn't capable of, man, she knows how to do it all. So she has been up in her vocabulary, has manners, you know, knows how to throw things away, put on her shoes, take off her shoes. And it's just like, it's just crazy seeing her become a little human. So yeah, no, she's in school. It's like a job for her Monday through Friday. Like
for sure.
9 to 5, she's in there. So
that's what's up.
She's working a 9 to 5, man. She sold her soul early, yeah.
Ahead of the game, man. Ahead of the game.
Yeah, she's ahead of the game.
All right, boss. We got to turn to the wheel, or else we're gonna run out of time.
My bad.
No, you good. This is, like I said, ranting and stuff. Don't feel like you ever gotta hold yourself back. This is a space for it. But here we go. And as a reminder, if there's any question that's too personal or something you don't want to talk about, feel free to pass. But this first one is number 7. And this one is, what is the toughest thing to admit about yourself?
Ooh. I've opened up a lot. I mean, I'd probably say that the toughest thing to admit, probably be that just, you know, I have to be very, very careful with, you know, anything, especially like substances. There's a lot of addiction issues in our family, and I definitely suffer from it too. So just making sure that, you know, I'm able to kind of monitor everything that I'm doing and not trying to mask how I feel. I mean, even for this podcast, I was like, gosh, should I make like a cocktail for this? Like loosen up, I can be myself. That's probably the hardest thing is just fighting those demons, because unfortunately on both sides, you know, blood related, it's a pretty big issue. So that's in me, and that's going to be probably a battle for the rest of my life, you know?
No, I got you, man. Yeah, I mean, you know how, I don't know if you heard this before, but people say that's just human nature, that we get addicted to things that we like because it's pleasurable, and our mind kind of like, you know, goes to those things. But then you say, you know, genetics wise, if it's in your family, then, you know, I guess it affects us a little bit differently. Because I think I can say the same for me and my family. And in my mind, I keep thinking to myself, like, in the previous podcast, I had admitted, like, maybe I am addicted to smoking. Let me just say it, put it out there. Yeah. And, you know, the person I was talking to was kind of telling me, like, well, how do you know it's an addiction? And like, why they kind of pressed me on why I do it. And, you know, like, you probably know some people who say, "Oh, I smoke because I like to get creative," or it helps the juices flow and all this stuff. And for me though, like I think for me it slows things down, because when I think I'm sober, I don't, and this is the thing, I don't want to say I have ADHD or any of, attention deficits, because people who really do have it, I can tell a difference between, how their mind is operating versus mine. But
yeah, you don't want to diagnose yourself. I understand that.
But I do feel like when I smoke, I can like be involved in the process and just be present more, versus when I'm sober, I'm kind of always trying to think ahead, or like think of what am I going to do next, because I know I'm about to finish this right now, which is weird, man, because like I think I know why I'm addicted, but also like, is it as bad as I think it is? So am I just justifying my addiction? all these layers continue to
it's easy to do it, bro. It's easy to do it. I think as long as it's not negatively affecting you, or I mean, I smoked weed for forever. I mean, we went from the Bay Area. Hello. I did it for a long time to sleep, but that's when I wasn't really dealing with my shit. So instead of just like going to sleep sober, where everything can race from my mind, I'm not being active, I'm not focusing on a bunch of things, I'm just laying down, and I'm just you and your thoughts when you're laying down in the dark, and it can be tough. Your brain can turn into a hamster wheel. And instead of doing that, like you said, I smoke a little bit of weed, eat a little snack, lay down, maybe listen to some music, and I'm just it was always just a very positive vibe. So as long as it's not hindering your life and hurting you in any way, I think it's fine. Could it be considered a crutch? Probably, but I don't know if it's like a severe addiction. Alcoholism was big in my family, so staying away from that, especially in social gatherings where I'm stuck in the moment. A lot of times, when I was really, really drunk or messed up, it was like the next day, it's like, Nick, you were the fucking man yesterday. You were hilarious. It's just like, you think you're taking like these almost performance enhancing drugs. You're like, I'm going to unlock the ultimate Nick tonight. We're going to get rowdy. Horn's going to go off the rails tonight, and it's going to be a blast. And, it's crazy is I can do all of that without any of that stuff. As long as I'm comfortable and I'm with my people, like I can be just as fun. So getting in situations like that, and then it hinders you because the next day you're not feeling well, you're missing work, you're not doing anything. Like I can't get away with being hungover now, man. I got a 2-year-old ready to go at like 6:30 a.m., 7. So, when there's a couple times during COVID and I was just at home drinking, I would overdo it and I'd just be up, and then the next day would be ruined. Family plans would be ruined because I'm not feeling well. So that's just how it's going to be. And that unfortunately, every therapist I talked to was like, you sure this can't just end tomorrow? Like, can I just unsubscribe from this? No, you're going to be dealing with it forever. Temptation is always going to be there. And I think the biggest one for me is new situations like this, where, I'm doing a podcast, I'm answering questions, I'm talking to someone new, or going to a party where you don't know anybody. Like, what? That scares the shit out of me, but it's something I got to keep in mind. And I definitely do not want my daughter to see me looking stupid. Like I can unfortunately say I saw a lot of that growing up, and that I do not want to do that. So
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing, for sure. And then I think we got time for one more spin. Let's see how this goes. We go. Number 10. Number 10 is, what have you had enough of? I've had enough of this,
People shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean,
I'm so freaking done with this shit. I would say recently I've had enough of my neighbors asking me for everything. They literally come over asking for like plates and my lawnmower. And it's just like, goddamn. And I'm just renting this house. They own their house. It's like, do your thing. But I'm having a hard time with how I'm going to approach that. So it's like, I could be passive aggressive. I could hand them the plate and be like, oh, it's not that expensive to get your own, just like say some shit like that. And just be like, hey man, like, how many times are you going to borrow this until you realize, like, I'm not close enough with them to have that relationship, but I'm also not, I also don't want to be on bad terms with my next door neighbor. You know what I mean? and low key, they're like friends, and I enjoy them at a certain amount. But when it's like my week time, and I'm trying to get my baby down, and they're asking for God knows what, I'm like,
yeah,
guys, if you could hear my answer, please stop.
Are they pretty good about returning? Like, some people borrow.
Oh
and never return.
they return. Well, yeah, there's been a couple of times where I had to let go and be like, hey, I need my lawnmower, and it's no big deal.
Nah, I got you.
So yeah, that's the most recently that popped up. So that'll be my lightest answer of the day.
For sure. And now I think so that's something I miss and wish would come back, is that neighborly culture of like people knowing who they live next to, and being able to spend time. But I think just the way social structures are kind of set up now is on the phone and online. But I really do miss being able to be like, oh, you want to watch the game on Sunday, kind of thing. But yeah, hopefully we can get back to a place like that in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, boss. We made it to the end of the podcast of closeout questions. Before we do that, there is one exercise called the 34th mantra. So I want you to fill out a phrase, which is I am, I can, I will. I am blank, I can blank, I will blank. Let me know when you're ready, and then I'll put you over to that screen. But feel free to chew on it for a second.
So it's I will, I can, or I am. I'm already blowing this. I am, I will, or I am, I can, and I will.
Yeah, I am, okay. I can, I will. The screen will have a reminder. You'll see it written like at the bottom. So let me know when you're ready, and we'll head over there.
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Go for it.
Oh, nice. It's written down. So I was right in the back of my head. I would say I am stronger than I think. I can win this battle, and I will win this battle. I'll do my best.
For sure, man. Now, if you ever need a reminder, you got that little sound clip of yourself. And, my big hope is that maybe one day your daughter will watch it and be like, yo, that's my pops, But
yeah, that would be so cool.
And, all right, moving on to closeout questions. This first one is from a previous guest. Shout out to Tizer. Tizer's question for you is, what are your thoughts on reincarnation? You think it's a possibility? Maybe not?
Yeah, I mean, that's something you think about all the time, right? Like, so you're putting in all this work and trying to do your thing every single day in life, and it's going towards the same finish line, which is ultimately death. Is it just black? Do you go to heaven? Do you go to hell? I think out of all those theories, I'm not like the most religious person, but I'm pretty spiritual. I would say reincarnation could definitely be a thing. You're obviously going to be a completely different person. No soul is the same. You're going to have a different soul. You're just going to be maybe wearing a different body, operating in a new body, in a new time, maybe even be like completely. I think it could be. Like, who knows? We'll never have the answer, but it'd be fun to think like, or it'd be kind of shitty to think like, oh shit, my next life I'm gonna be like a flea or something. You know what I mean? It'll be a quick stint, but that would suck.
No, for sure. I mean, reincarnation. I used to think, I don't know if you had deja vu a lot.
Oh man, like crazy.
Dude, yeah. So, I mean, I used to think that like the way reincarnation in my mind is played out is that our souls are meant to be in this time frame of where we are. So like if to say for me, I die and I didn't live a good enough life, I would just restart at 1990, and 1990 to however long would be the same. It would, like everything that's happened or is going to happen has already happened. That those theories and shit, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Something like that. I don't want to get too complicated because I am
butterfly
not.
Effect. One little change. Yeah.
Part of it.
So you would start out. You would be basically replaying
my whole life. Yeah. I think. I mean that this is
that's
just
cool.
It's not.
Yeah. Give me another shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna play that baseball game.
Shoot, man. If only I could, right? Maybe I'll have deja vu again when I'm 11 years old and I'm like, oh, I should be doing this. Well, yeah, it's more than we have enough time for it to talk about. But
yeah.
My next question for you is, what would you like to ask the next guest on 34 Questions?
Oh man. Yeah, I guess if you could live in any era, what would it be and why?
Live in any era.
Any era.
What would it be?
I always, I feel like I learned so much from people about that.
For sure. I'm trying to answer this last question as well.
Yeah. See you, bro.
So let me think. Any era, what would it be and why?
Or I guess maybe maybe just take a stint, maybe a quick little time travel and just experience it. But
so
that'd be unfair for you to have. You can't have like any of your knowledge from present day. You just have to like be in it, just soaking in that era. What decade would that be?
Okay, so I mean, sounds like you were a 90s baby. I'm 32, you're 31. So we got to experience the 90s as kids. I wish I got to experience it as an adult, just because it seems like, you know, we're experiencing the 2000s and we know how things are going now, that to know what it felt like as that pre 9/11 time as a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, I wonder like how much I would have gotten out of that. And I guess that's an easy cop-out question because the 90s is in, but in my mind I'm still that kid sometimes, and longing for that era. But I guess other than that, man, I don't know.
Are we crazy? Are we crazy, or were the 90s just absolute fire? Are we like insane? Are we just those annoying? Like, does Gen Z think we're annoying for being like, oh man, you just don't know how it was and that? But it's just like, no, I do. I remember how hard, like, all that on TV, like Friday nights, that hit so hard. And then when MTV had music videos in the commercial breaks, like those were just different times, bro. I don't even know how to explain it. It was just so lit.
Dude, just the neighbor culture was there back then, you know? Like the neighborhood kids would be friends with each other because y'all lived together. Now I feel like that's not what's happening, but I don't know. I'm not living everyone's lives. They can say we're crazy.
Yeah.
And
man, that pre social media era, that pre cell phone era, like the weird thing is I'll get in rabbit holes on YouTube and just like watch people vibe and like New York City 1970s, just walking down the street. It's like, holy shit, people are stopping and acknowledging each other. As much as a New Yorker does, you know, it's still very much just like, fuck out of my way. You know, it's just like, but it would be nice. I feel like just it sucks when you look around, everyone's on their phone, they're just missing life. Like, it's just.
It is, man. Or like you say something to somebody in line and they look at you all crazy. So like, why are you talking to me right now? And I'm like, we're both in line for something. I can't, say something, right? But I do super appreciate folks that reciprocate the energy, right? Like when you are out and then you just want to talk to somebody and somebody's like, I'm here to talk with you.
Oh man, the endorphins are crazy. When you meet someone the old natural, the old way, and you're vibing, that's nothing better than that, man. That's an incredible feeling.
No, for sure. I think it's making a comeback, man. At least as I talk to these kids, this is what I'm trying to push for.
Super in right now, bro. Yeah.
All right, boss. My last question for you, the question that ties everything together, 100, 200, 300 years from now, your descendants are watching this video. What would you like to tell them?
Oh man, everything's gonna be so different then. I think just be eager, be hungry to learn about people, about places, have compassion, be understanding of what others are going through. The most interesting, fascinating thing in the world are people that are living this life in different bodies, and just getting to know as many of them as possible. And doing your best not to judge too quickly, because everyone's going through their own battles. Even though it's hard, I still judge. I still make jokes. I can be pretty brutal at times too. I'm trying to get away from that, but just having love and interest for people around you. Don't ever be too good for anybody. I guess that's it, yeah.
We hear you, man. We hear you. And any last things you'd like to add before we head out of here?
Congratulations to the boy Quan.
Yeah.
Got
Congrats.
engaged.
Congrats,
Love you,
Quan.
bro. He's a big reason why I got on here and did this. Super proud of him. I was always the talkative one in our friendship. That's why we work really well together. He's been there for me for some crazy things. So shout out to that guy and Diana. They're gonna be great husband and wife. I'm super pumped to see that. And thank you, Quan, for getting me in touch with Jan, because this was an incredible experience.
I hope to see you on the big day, man. Hopefully you can make it out, or I can make it out. We hope like all the schedules can fit.
Oh yeah, man. Come on now.
That'd be cool. It'd be cool to meet Nick Horn in person one day.
We'll be on the dance floor, bro. Promise.
For sure. We'll bump in some Sheryl Crow, bro. Let's do it.
Sheryl Crow.
But all right, man. I want to thank you again for stopping by. I want to thank all the folks out there. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, watching on YouTube, definitely appreciate your time as well. Please remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love. And we'll catch you guys next time on 34 Questions. Peace.
Thank you, bro.
And it fades out from there. That was it, man.